Much respect, fam. This is another recording of the minister's Red Pill Diaries. I am the interfaith minister in Kanwi, Fokwa, Mbe, the initiator of the Ministry of Spirituality and the director of the Association of Cultural Awareness. Now, we're not going to have a long introduction just like last time. We're going to dive directly into the topic of this discussion so that everyone should know that we're actually, we're getting on point now, literally, finding locations in Accra to do our recording. We're actually around Opongolo Junction near the currently ongoing, being constructed, should I say stadium, the stadium that's been ongoing with its construction for, I've been here about a year and a half already. They've been working on it for about all that while since I've been here. It ain't even done yet. That's Africa. But anyway, we're giving you all that red pill straight up so that you can come to the realization of, why these things are the way that they are, and our people just don't get down and be on point. So we're talking about the virgin birth of marriage. You see it, the virgin birth of Mary, essentially. We want to look at the virgin birth myth in Christianity and how it actually affects the male psyche and the female psyche and impedes us from having realistic relationships on the face of the earth. This is red pill coming out of Africa, but these concepts are going to apply internationally all over the earth, wherever people can actually feel this information. And I hope that by the end of this video, you watch it to the end and you'll get the message. And make sure that you do click like, subscribe to our channel, share this video, because this is deep knowledge we're going to be dropping in to enlighten you, to put you on point so that you can erase all of those, that falsehood inside your head that's keeping from you for adapting to your human sexuality, the nature between men and women. And particularly, this, when we say it's red pill, this is for MGTOW, you know what I'm saying? It's for all my brothers out there, my men, coming out in Africa. This week, I found out that we have a Stingy Men's Association, which is inspired in the key of the red pill knowledge, the MGTOW movements that's moving on the earth. So this is for my African movements, for my brothers out there representing the Stingy Men's Associations in Nigeria, in Ghana, and Liberia, Cameroon, wherever you men are coming on to this knowledge of red pill and taking your respect back from this radical feminism that's impeding our right to, our dignity and self-respect upon the earth. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into this discussion, talking about the virgin birth of marriage, the virgin birth of Mary, the virgin birth in the age of marriage, the virgin birth myth, essentially. Where did the virgin birth actually even come from? If you want to read the Hebrew Bible, and compare it to the Greek scriptures of the Tanakh versus the Greek scriptures, essentially, that's how we have to start looking at it. Because Christians believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and then they equate it through Roman Catholic theology and dogma to Jesus Christ being, God itself. I'm not going to say God himself, because in naturalist spirituality, we know that God is a universal consciousness, which does take on, astral form. It takes on imagery and form through symbolism, as well as, we had psychologists like Carl Jung, who came out with the archetypal reality, breaking down the various dimensions of the human consciousness and how it links to the universal consciousness, the collective unconsciousness. But we always say that, the consciousness is never unconscious. It's always conscious. So people try to take God and make it a he, but God is actually an it, manifesting itself in varying dimensions. And it can be a man or a woman. Let's just get that straight. So when they take this idea of the virgin marriage age, they want to bring it into the Hebrew Tanakh, linking it to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. Now, we first have to understand something about Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. We have a word in this verse. Let me break down and give you the verse off the head. It says, behold, a young woman shall conceive and give birth to a child, and his name shall be Immanuel. Now, when you heard me, I said young woman specifically. In the King James versions of the Bible translation, you're going to read where it said young woman, you're going to find the word virgin written there. And you're going to be like, I want you to open this verse and look at it yourself. Maybe if you got a King James version, and if you got a Revised Standard Version, or you got a Catholic Good News Bible, the Good News Bible with the deuterocanonical books, which translates this particular verse, they always state down in the footnotes and also in the Revised Standard Version that the actual word that is used for virgin in this passage does not reflect the original translations of the Tanakh. The original translations of the Tanakh, the original version of the Tanakh is actually a Hebrew Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's the Hebrew not the whole Testament. The Tanakh is just the Tanakh, because the Jews, they don't first recognize, Christianity in a particular dimension with Jesus Christ being God or even being the Son of God, though there is messianic Judaism with individuals in that tradition who do recognize Yeshua as having been the Mashiach. So you need to understand that when they translate Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, they intentionally render the word that is young woman or ha'alma in Hebrew to be written as virgin, but the actual Hebrew word for virgin is bethulah. We need to get this very clear and straight because, I get into the etymology, I go into the textual criticism, I want to bring out the knowledge to my people. I'm very precise with this knowledge because if you don't get into the understanding of how the Bible's been intentionally mistranslated in many places, you will read the Roman Catholic tradition and think that it's correct, and you will find adversity with yourself. So put it in context, my people. The original Hebrew Tanakh said in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, that behold, ha'alma, or a young woman shall conceive and give birth to a child, and his name shall be Immanuel. Now, what's so important about this is that a young woman or a maiden is not a virgin. A young woman or a maiden describes a woman of marriageable age, a young woman who's of the age of being married. It does not particularly distinguish that that woman must be a woman who is a virgin, understanding that a virgin is a woman who has never had sexual intercourse, my people. Let's put this in clear context and understand this, because that's where they forced the mistranslation intentionally to give you the conception to believe that this man named Yeshua, who's going to be born later on as a rabbi, was actually supposed to be the Messiah, so that they can establish this concept of the Trinity and make him in this to believe that he is God. It's a mistranslation. Jesus was never God. You need to just get that out of your head. I'm going to be blatant with that. This is that red pill. Wake up from that. That's false reality. That's mistranslation. The way that they get that translation now into their New Testament and Greek scriptures is because a man named Ptolemy, he was a Greek, should I say legate, I just say legate, but he was a Greek man of high authority, and back in the day this should have been like the 3rd century BCE. He commissioned a translation of the Hebrew Tanakh. And he wanted it because there were a lot of Greek-speaking Jews living in Alexandria. You need to understand that after Alexander the Great had led his campaign from, 322 BCE, and, spread out over conquering the territories of the Mediterranean, the Greeks now controlled what was ancient Kemet, after the Persians had taken over it. So the Greeks came along and sacked the Persians and then took over. And then they started to introduce their culture and language into the area. The city that was called Rakotis had its name changed to Alexandria to glorify Alexander. And Ptolemy, now serving under Alexander, came into this city and decided that because there were, Hebrews there, Yehudai, Jews, back in that time, it wasn't like the Semites today. We can actually admit that back then, Yehudai people, they were mixed. We had black people, mixed up in it, light-skinned brothers. You had also the people who converted to it who were also Europoid and the Semite, the Arab-looking races. But, let's not get into all that ethnicity and keep it strict on the facts of what pertains to this scripture that we're looking at. Because when you understand what I'm explaining to you, and reason that Ptolemy had a translation of the Tanakh rendered into Greek, the Septuagint. It's called the Septuagint because 70, or some texts say 72 scholars, Greek-speaking Hebrew Jews, translated it from memory. From memory. They didn't look like it's scripts. They said that he locked them in different rooms and had them translate him a copy of the Tanakh, 70 copies from memory. So all of these different translations that were rendered in Greek, some of them were accurate, some of them were inaccurate, because these Hebrew Greek scholars translating it had now adopted a lot of, the Kemetite traditions and actually understood the mythology of Osset, Osir, Heru, Osir, Osset, Heru. That's Osiris, Isis, and Horus, which was the dominating mythology back in those days, coming from our people, the original Kemetai, for thousands of years. We can go back to the Kushites recognizing Osir migrating out of Kush, which is Ethiopia today, we can go deep with it. But this is an ancient mythology because the idea of the mother and child is an old symbolism in animistic concepts, right? Even here into Africa. Before the Europeans came with colonialism, we had recognition of, the mother and child cult, or the mother and child coven, and the love that the mother has for a child. And we have statues of that carved all over the place. You see the mother holding the child, giving the suckling. And when you see Osset and Heru in that depiction, you come now to what you have as Mother Mary and Jesus in that same depiction of her holding the child. So all they've done is just taken what was African tradition, chematology, my stuff, our stuff. What we represent in spiritology is one of, our most prime naturalist traditions, though we get into the Celtic traditions, Native American traditions and all of that. They took this iconography and then used the Hebrew Tanakh to intentionally, while writing the Septuagint, render Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 in Greek to have the Greek word parthenos written there, which is the Greek word for virgin. And then now when they want to say that, whoever wrote Matthew, us scholars who get deep into it, it wasn't an individual Matthew who wrote it. You know what I'm saying? What we start to see as being the Greek scriptures starts to appear surely about after 2nd century, 3rd century BCE. Even Bar Ehrman, when he's doing his research, he's always like, when they try to get the oldest copies of the Greek scriptures, that's the New Testament, all they find is copies of copies of copies. They don't find original manuscripts. And you have what was the Age of Shadows, a period from, let's say, about CE 70, AD 70 to about AD 120, where you don't have no history, you don't have no scriptures, you don't have no activity about what was going on with the sect of the Nazarenes. I'm speaking on facts here to get y'all into this red pill to understand how they rendered this mistranslation inside Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, such that by the time they're writing Matthew chapter 1, verse 23, whoever wrote it decides to give you this whole concept of the virgin birth of Mary. And they start giving you this story like what's in Luke about how Joseph found out that Mary, had been impregnated before he had gotten up in it, because he knew he didn't have sex with her. So it was strange that she would come along and then say she was pregnant. And then they come out with this whole idea of, her being impregnated by the Holy Spirit. They say that it was Angel Gabriel that came to her and told her that she was going to get pregnant by a child, which was, the child of the Most High, which would have been Yahweh, or the Christian's going to say it was Jesus himself deciding to impregnate his mother or send Gabriel with which spirit so that he would be born. Like I say, the theology just becomes whack. The theology, it becomes crazy. It makes no sense. There's no ration in it. There's not even a secret mystery in it, because the truth of its basis goes back to Osir and Oset in the original tradition, in which Osir, who represents resurrection, or Osiris, gets killed by his brother Set. And then Set breaks his body into 13 different pieces and scatters it throughout the empire and the earth. Now, Oset, his wife Isis, finds the 13 bodies, including the phallus, his penis, which was dismembered, and uses her power, to join the body back together, and keeps him alive enough just to impregnate herself so that she can give birth to the golden child, Heru, the symbol of light, so that Heru can be manifest. And when he's manifest, the light shines and, connects to the resurrection of Osiris, because Osiris is the god of agriculture, essentially. The plants start to regrow in Easter or Ishtar or Isis or Set, the time when the Kemetai and the naturalist people on the earth have always commemorated that this is the rebirth of crops on the earth, because we see Osir resurrecting. And that's why they even put Jesus Christ resurrecting on that same day. So they give you this whole confusion now and give you this whole idea of a virgin birth to get you hyped up in this concept of this woman supposedly not having sex with a man, to disconnect you from the union that a man and woman are supposed to come together in purity, which is natural, which makes sex something natural, so that you now start to glorify the woman, thinking that the woman that you want as a man is supposed to be a woman who's never had sex, that the most ideal woman is a woman who's still going to be a virgin when you actually get into a relationship with her. And it blows everyone's mind, because men go around looking for this type of woman on the earth and they can't find her. You won't find her. Even you, the brother who goes looking for that woman, think that you're supposed to marry a virgin. Are you a virgin? When you start giving yourself this standard and basing it on this tradition? Now, by the original naturalist tradition, we're not saying that we were just, carnal people and we didn't respect virtue and ethics, and our women, preserving themselves and respecting their sexual responsibility to not be defiled to an extent that they have all the psychological trauma from being mixed up with men all over the place. But I'm breaking it down to make you understand that purely, if you get this red pill knowledge and you understand what I'm telling to you, they did some work on us. They did some work on everybody, because the Roman Catholics went around, they conquered the Gaul, the Anglo-Saxons, the Franks, they messed up Europe. Then, they tried to hit the Arabs. The Arabs resisted during the Crusades. When they couldn't penetrate the Arabs, they came around in boats and came down to West Africa with this bull, And then they indoctrinated my people with it and chastised our cults, Yoruba, Ife, Gemba clans and tradition, went after the Zulu, neutralized naturalist traditions all up in Africa too, and created this confusion. So my people, we need to wake up from it. That's what this message is about. I'm giving you this red pill knowledge so that y'all can wake up, for real. This virgin birth marry age, this virgin birth marriage concept, this virgin birth of Mary, this immaculate conception. It's not unique first to Christianity, and it's been distorted from the Osir, Oset, Heru traditions of the original Kemetais who founded that tradition coming up out of Africa. And our people, my people in Africa, you know that we respect sexuality. You know that we respect fertility, the fecundity. We look at our women and give them that prize and value when she's got big hips and big breasts, because that proves to us that we know that she's fertile and she has melons that she can suckle the children. So women are glorified in African culture. When they bring you now this concept of taking you into the Virgin Mary belief and then stigmatizing the woman so that a man should believe that he's looking only for a virgin, it means that we have diminished now the role and value of our women, and we look at them now to be subjective creatures that need to be submitted to a man. Now, I'm not saying that's correct, because it's not. And my sisters, I hope you're listening to it, it's not. I question a lot of you women who claim you're strong African feminists, but you're following this type of Christianity and this belief, and you up in the church praying and calling God the Father, but then you talking about patriotism and how you want to bring it down. Black Lives Matter. Y'all need to get y'all head in check, claiming that you're running behind Ife, promoting your Ruba Ife, but all of y'all still got our women mixed up inside this foolery. So that's the red pill on it. Y'all need to wake up, and I hope y'all got the message, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how it's just going to come out clear at you. I'm coming at you hard this year, 2021. I said this is no joke. Ministry of Spirituality, we're putting our feet up on the earth. You know what I'm saying? We've been here for a minute, but this is our time to get established and do the work and do it well, do it good with no apologies. So I've been the minister in Kanwi Fokwa and Bay. That's where I'm going to drop and let this message roll out. You know what I'm saying? If you liked it, make sure that you do click like, subscribe to this channel, share this video as broadly as you can. You know what I'm saying? Stingy Men's Association, y'all need to get on the red pill knowledge. I'm following you up in them forums on Facebook, but y'all need to get up into the knowledge and start dispersing this real talk. You know what I'm saying? It's not all about whether you want to give a woman some money or not. Because by the end of the day, when you're on your purpose and you establish yourself as a real man, you're going to keep that woman in check, and you'll be able to give her the little money that you know you deserve to give her, and she's going to bow down to you if we all get this right knowledge on this red pill and get up out of this. So I'm telling y'all, get into the ministry of Spiritology. That's where I'm going to drop. Peace, peace profound. You know what I'm saying?